You're watching Five Line Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
Okay, we're back. Hannah Gage, who is the first woman to chair the UNC System Board of Governors, is our guest today, and we're talking about the high cost of higher education. How autonomous are the individual campuses when it comes to tuition or other student costs, setting policy and spending?
I think they have a lot of autonomy, but we have oversight, and in particular, campuses determine themselves what they need for tuition and fees, but they bring it to us, and it has to fit within a policy. And under normal circumstances, we approve what they bring to us. This year, we didn't. This year, we felt like 6.5% that some of the campuses wanted was not appropriate, given the economic climate. And in fairness to the campuses, Don, a lot of them began their process last summer, and so their decision to ask for 5 or 6% was made before the economy really went south. Yes, and so those things come through us, but we don't tell campuses how to spend their money.
And policy.
The big policies are ours, but they've got their day-to-day and athletics and all those things. They happen on the campuses, and the individual board of trustees oversees those things.
Responsive can the system be to these economic hard times and the effects that it's having on the average family that wants to educate their children?
I think we can be real responsive, and I think there are two things we can do. We can work to keep tuition low and adhere to the policy that we already have, which is really, I mean, we're considered one of the best bargains in the country, and this is all of our campuses. And the second thing we can do is continue to work hard to make sure the state funds our need-based financial aid, because that provides money to North Carolina students over and above the Pell Grant. And it's a lot of money. It's $120 million a year that the legislature provides. So every time our
student loans.
For student loans, no, a lot of them are grants. And so every time our tuition goes up, our need-based financial aid goes up at the same time, right. so that students are held harmless. Ones that are already, have already signed up, aren't caught off guard. There's extra money for them.
Have you had any indication that there might be money from the federal stimulus package available to state university systems?
There will be, and we're not sure in what form this will take. I think that the immediate benefit that we will see will be that state governments will receive money to help them with Medicaid, and I think that will help the state. It will loosen up funds for other things. We see clearly that the increase in the Pell Grant will help all of the students in North Carolina that qualify for a Pell Grant, because that will be a larger amount.
And I don't know how many of our viewers know, but the UNC system is the first state university system in the entire country. So it's the oldest state university system and considered one of the best in the entire nation.
It is. It is.
Now, with that said, some folks like to point to the North Carolina Constitution. That says the state shall provide, quote, the benefits of the University of North Carolina and other public institutions of higher education free of expense to state residents as far as practicable. And I had to look that word up. Yes. Clearly, it was an issue of access for state residents. Is that even feasible in the reality of today's world, free of expense to state residents?
I think it is. I think it is. Defining practicable or practical is obviously subjective, but it is something, it is a guideline that we use in every decision we make about tuition.
But it isn't free.
It's not free. It's not free. But to give you an example, in North Carolina, for families that make $50,000, $51,000 or less, an education within the UNC system costs that family out of pocket an average of $713. That's
a pretty good deal.
Close. It's close. And the tuition increase we have this year amounts to $13 a month. So when you look at percentages, and a percentage of a public tuition is, the percentage sounds high. When you look at it, it's not as much money, and I'm not saying that it's not a stretch for some families, but I think the important thing to underscore here is that we have amazing financial aid in this state that has made a big difference for North Carolina families.
And we're going to talk about financial aid. There's some issues with aid for students drying up. Private institutions that have provided financial aid for education are now going by the wayside. I think there's 145. We'll come back and we'll talk with Hannah Gage, who is chair of the UNC System Board of Governors, about financial aid and more issues of education right after this. Stay with us.